Welcome to this edition of Silver Sneakers Boom Muscle. I am continuing my journey into powerlifting, trying to improve my strength and power, along with increased fitness and overall improved health. I'm not limiting my physical activity to just this, but have used it as a goal for this coming year. Along those lines, I signed up for the Colorado Senior Olympics for this June. So since it's early February, I have 4 months to prepare for that, with the idea to get some experience and show up for an event and do what I can with no anticipation of doing extremely well, but as a learning process and motivation to keep going with this. So today I'm going to start off with a warm-up for activities that I use to get my whole body warmed up and to do those 3 specific lifts of the squat, bench press, and deadlift. Just going to start with some slow marches. An athletic event like powerlifting requires several components of fitness, including strength and power, of course, but also balance, flexibility, mobility, some cardiovascular fitness, and recovery. So let's take our knees out to the side. You can do this marked as fast or as slow as you want. So it's working both balance and a warm-up. Let's hold the knee up. You can always progress these exercises by closing your eyes or adding a second component like an arm circle. Further progression is to turn your head side to side. See if you can look away. Do some trunk twists. In our senior years, I think it's important to maintain an optimistic but also a humorous outlook. Thinking back to when we were a teenager or young adult, what we were capable of, and now, after decades of wear and tear, how we've changed, but our spirit has remained youthful. I'm going to start with some box squats. I set up a low platform to try and work on increasing my range of motion with this activity. So I put my feet about shoulder width apart, my toes pointed out slightly, and I'm just going to sit down on the box. And at this position, my thigh is fairly parallel, pretty much parallel to the floor. To increase that range of motion, I can add an additional platform under each end of the step. And we'll go ahead and do a series of box squats. You can see at this angle, my hip is somewhat below the knee. So if we're competitive powerlifting squat, this would be the minimal depth I would need to get to. In all three lifts, posture is probably most important in the squat. It's fairly easy with a heavy weight on your back. If you lean forward to get a back sprain, which could cause you a serious injury and at least would take significant time to recover from. So you want to keep your torso as upright as possible, get in a nice neutral spine, and have the movement coming from your hips, your knees, and your ankles. At 71, I'm quite stiff in all those joints, so I work on a wall squat with no weight, trying to keep that posture as best I can. Again, as a newbie, not a lot of work. So put my feet nice and wide apart, my hands on the wall, and I try and keep my head the same distance from the wall as I go into a deep squat. Once I'm sufficiently warmed up for these lifts, I'm following a program from Richard Schuler's book, Powerlifting Over 50, and I'm in my first cycle, so doing 1 day a week with each lift separately to try and increase strength, and then 1 day a week where I combine all three, working on form and range of motion, etc. So today is my lighter day. So starting off with a squat, just a bar, have a pad on it until I can get it low enough on my upper back so it doesn't hurt my C7 vertebrae, and just the weight of the bar. Trying to train my body for being able to balance the bar, move, keeping my back as upright as possible, and avoiding injury. Moving on to a bench press, even with a light weight, I still have my safety bars set up, so if I lose control, it won't suffocate me or smash my face. And just going to use a 45-pound bar to start. Work on bracing, which is taking a deep breath, contracting all the muscles from my body, from the bottom of my feet on the floor, all the way up to the top of my head, and positioning the bar down low on my chest, and then powering up over my face. this early part of my training, very important to get the procedures proper, which includes pausing the weight against my body for a couple seconds, as opposed to just a bounce and go. Full lockout at the top, holding my breath throughout the lift. And these are things, if you have high blood pressure, check with your medical provider, make sure that it's a safe activity for you. And slowly increase the weight. I find that if I start getting to a weight where I don't have perfect control throughout the whole lift, then I switch off to a Smith type machine, since I don't have spotters available. Before moving on to the deadlift exercises, I wanted to discuss a little bit of the grip you use on the bar. There's this where both hands are overhand, or one is underhand, or a mixed grip, or they're both underhand. Again, it's personal preference. The strength coaches recommend a mixed grip because it keeps the bar from having a tendency to try and roll on you, and they advise that you can lift a heavier weight with that. Trying to decide which hand to put under, which to put over. For me, it feels more natural to have both over. You can feel as you're doing this, if you tense the muscles, maybe more on the outside of the arm, maybe a little more tricep. With the underhand grip, you might feel more in your bicep. So to assess maybe which one to put underhand, it's going to be the muscles that are involved in your curls. So to see if there's a muscle imbalance, I'm going to do some curls with just dumbbells. Just going to start off simultaneously, seeing if I can detect a difference. In my case, I've ruptured some of my bicep muscles, which have not been repaired. They've just sort of scarred down, and trying to decide if I can detect a particular imbalance or weakness. So my plan is to just go up the rack of the dumbbells, working for about 10 repetitions on each arm. So it's getting to heavier weight, I'm going to do one individually. So about 3 on that side. Okay, let's see if we go one. So definitely struggling for 3. So I feel I'm a bit stronger on this is my left side than on the right. I have to be careful with doing curls because, again, knowing that my muscles have already, or the tendons have already ruptured on both sides, I don't want to risk further injury. So I do limit curls to where I don't feel like I'm pushing it, or if I get a tendonitis, I definitely want to ease off for a bit. Another consideration before starting is to decide which bar to use. There's several varieties. There's this one called a hex bar. and this one weighs 51 pounds. The advantage on that is by holding onto the handles, you can put the weight directly under your center of gravity, which is going to reduce your likelihood of injuring your back. It allows you to lift straight up. Then we have our Olympic bars. There's two sizes. A standard one, this first one, weighs about 45 pounds in most cases. And if I put my hand on it, wrap around, you can see I can get my thumb almost to my first knuckle, or a little bit beyond, on my index finger. This one is somewhat lighter, and you can see I clearly get my hand much farther. This one weighs 31 pounds, and again, as I said, the standard Olympic bar weighs about 45. You can tell it's an Olympic bar because it has this big sleeve, which fits your standard larger plates. Some facilities have these easy bars that are preloaded, which allows you to put your hand maybe in a more comfortable position, or you can put it all the way out, which is like your standard. Again, it's got that smaller diameter, which can improve the grip strength. It is in this facility they have an Olympic bar that has that easy angled handles, again to accommodate different grips and positions for your wrist. Finally, on this topic, some facilities have a bar, an Olympic bar, that has a bigger diameter. This is an example on a Smith machine, and you can see I can't quite get to that knuckle on my index finger. The bigger bar improves grip strength. It's more demanding for a good grip. So for me to work on grip strength, I'll sometimes come over to this Smith machine with this bigger bar. Today, since I'm working on trying to sort out my most comfortable grip, I'm going to use that lighter bar, which is valid for senior lifters in most powerlifting competitions. Again, it's somewhat lighter and it has a smaller diameter. Before doing a squat with a reasonably heavy weight, there's many things to remember, as it is a full body exercise that, if done improperly, can easily lead to injuries. But done properly is a very good way to improve strength, exercising all the muscles of the body. Position for this one, you want it to run right up along your shins and your thighs. You want to keep your back neutral and at a good angle, which is, depending on your body, might vary somewhat. People with maybe longer legs might have to have a little more of a forward lean. Again, the power comes from your hips and your hamstrings, at least to start, and then the quads kick in. You want to take a comfortable grip. I'm going to start with both hands overhand. See how I do with this weight. You want to contract all your muscles. Take a deep breath and brace. And left and down. I'm going to switch my grip this time. Do my left hand under, my right hand over. See how I feel. It's going through the same routine of bracing, contracting, and lifting with power. I'm going to switch hands, put my right hand underneath, my left hand over. Those feel equally awkward, not awkward. So I'm going to continue to switch, see how I feel doing a few repetitions. And switching hands, right hand under, left hand over. Many strength coaches and experts recommend that you strength train 3 to 4 days a week and take at least 2 days off a week. For me, that's quite difficult. I'm used to exercising every day. But for the next few weeks, I'm going to try and work on that schedule. So in my subsequent videos, I'm going to show the workout I do for each of these power lifts. It's separated on different days. So with the main lift itself, and followed with conditioning and accessory exercises to get a good workout for that muscle group. On the off days, I'm going to do some light cardio, like a walk, gentle jog, maybe bicycle, something to get into that zone 2 cardio where I can still talk while I'm exerting, but not a high intensity, which allows time for your muscles to recover and reduce some inflammation on your joints. For me, the most important probably is to get rid of some body fat. I've been on different diets throughout my life. I have a tendency to put fat on around my waist, as you can see in the videos. Not too much, like on my neck, forearms, they're fairly lean. But trying to find a diet strategy that works so I can lose some body fat and not lose much muscle or strength. So that's a challenge for me, and I'm going to look into different possibilities, and hopefully if you watch my videos, you'll see me make remarkable progress over the next few months. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and see y'all later.